Okay, today I'm going to talk about a good versus a bad injury. And we all know what a bad injury is. Someone is running and they're pushing as hard as they can. They're breathing heavily. They're giving it all effort. Uh, their joints and everything. We just picture like a machine just starting to redline and falling apart. An engine starting to break. This is what I refer to as a bad injury. Because when something goes wrong in that state, it's something catastrophic. Usually something was ignored. You're pushing way too hard. Your tendons, which are what connect from your bone to your muscle, just aren't strong enough. Your muscles aren't strong enough. Something. But the thing is, you're giving it max effort. And a good injury, I usually refer to you're calm, you're relaxed, you're just chilling. This is actually how I was 3 days ago, and everything was great. My breathing was fine. Mentally, I was thinking about really, positive things in my head at the time, and my stride was good. My heart rate was low, and I was just going along. And then just bang, bang, something hurt really bad in my left shin area. I mean, my calf area. And immediately I went from doing a 4.7 miles landing on the balls of my feet down to instantly I started heel striking. I could no longer catch myself on the balls of my feet anymore. And since I couldn't do it with my right leg, my left leg started to heel strike too. Because what you do on one side, usually you're going to start doing on the other side. And then I was at the mindset of, well, I was supposed to go for 8 or 9 miles. And I was like, well, I could have pushed that, yeah, but would I have regretted it the next day? Probably. Would have made things worse? Probably. So what did I do? I just pushed it to 5 and I was done. So I only pushed it zero point 0.3 more miles. But that zero point 0.3 miles, that was not comfortable. But I did not go the full distance. I was like, that's really going to overdo it. What the heck just happened? And the thing is, this is kind of the difference of these two injuries. One is usually done when you're redlining and pushing hard and then something goes wrong. And then the other one, you're way more relaxed. You're just out there just doing your thing. And then the body's kind of tweak. Something just happens. Well, probably what happened, and I didn't know this then, but it was my assumption, the muscle probably started to fill in a certain way, and just that tendon wasn't quite pulling the correct way it needed to connect with that muscle. So instead of stretching it out, which our body usually does, the body may have just gone, the best way to take care of this thing is just to let it re-tear and re-heal. And our body kind of does these things, especially when you have a previous injury. If you're young and you've been running around a lot, okay, your body's probably not going to need to do this. But if you're getting in or back into shape or you have an injury that was in a leg, like my right leg, totally jacked up. But if you come back into that running form, you may have to re-tear some old injuries. Now, here's an important kind of context between these two. One thing that people don't quite think of is the amount of damage that's done. So picture a piece of paper, okay? And draw two lines that are about an inch apart, okay? Now, when you tear that paper slowly, it's easy to get within those two lines. But now I want you to pull that thing, tear up paper again, about 50% faster. Not quite 2 times faster, but 50% faster. And still try to get within those two lines. It's going to be a lot harder and you may not be able to. Well, this context of how much the tear happens, that localization, is the same thing that happens when you are redlining, pushing hard. Usually when something goes wrong, it's going to be a much bigger tear and it's actually going to even affect areas that were not damaged in the first place. But when you are way more relaxed and you're just kind of cruising and something just has to kind of tick loose or rearrange or re-tear slightly like that, it's a lot more localized in an exact spot. So what did I do? I cut down my workout. Instead of doing 8 or 9 miles that day, I just did 5. I was done. I already decided that day, okay, I'm not running the next day, and I'm probably not going to run for 2 days. Well, the first day is done. 2 days later, I feel great. Well, should I run? I may be ready to run again, but it is better to take this second day off and just make sure it's really healed versus going again. So I took 2 days off. And so today was technically the third day afterwards. Got up to speed, probably about 2-3 miles in, and my leg was tender in that same calf area on the outside of the right leg. But I noticed something too. The outer hamstring on my right leg was also tender, that same chain of muscles. So that chain could be goofed up, and that was just the weak spot in that whole link in that calf. But it didn't hurt when I ran on it today, but it definitely was like, hey, something happened. It's, hey, but, we're okay. We got this. Versus the day that it happened, I was having trouble just raising my heel off the ground because something really bad happened. But that's kind of something that you may notice with your body and damage is your nerve system can't really tell how bad things are damaged at times because you still have adrenaline going in your body. So it kind of just, in a way, I guess you could say, over exaggerate certain things. Because, like, well, how much healing did I really do in 2 or 3 days? Not a lot. But something definitely came loose, and my body needed to readjust something in there. So the amount of damage was not bad, but still just needed to have those few days just to take it easy. And, when I was younger, there was a time where I had an injury, and I was a fool that night, and I ran around town. We were actually TPing, toilet papering our coaches' houses because we won ESD. And we started to, I was wrestling with my girlfriend at the time in the yard, and I kind of did she was by my feet holding onto both my legs. I got them loose, and then I kind of did a roll spin thing off and away from her. But then she grabbed one of my legs, and then my body just kept on rotating around when she was holding onto that one leg. And it jacked up a whole bunch of stuff on the outside of my leg. I shouldn't have done anything else that night. Instead, we were TPing the coaches' houses, and I ran with that going on in my leg. And I'm very positive that that's aggravated it. So if you have an injury, don't be afraid just to say, hey, I'm done. Right now, done. Okay, I'm only going to go a little bit more. I'm done. Because when you decide that something is wrong and you stop, you are most likely going to prevent future damage from escalating even more. And sometimes, you get a pop or something like that, and hey, it's just a pop. But when you have a bad injury, it is better just to take on the side of caution and call it then and there and go on. But that's where I'm going to call it today. I'm doing it this way instead because I'm realizing I'm too nervous when I have a video going, and what am I doing with my face? What am I looking at? What am I, how do I look? And I'm not as easily flowing out of information. I'm just way too nervous when I'm trying to record myself. So I'm just going to kind of try this method for a while and see how it goes. And I'm probably going to try to do a video again out there, probably maybe once every 2 weeks, every week again. I just kind of got demoralized because I was looking at man, I just don't look professional. I'm like, okay, I saw a lot of other people just doing this kind of a talking about one thing and then doing something else completely in the video. So I'm going to try this method and see how well it works. And but if you like the video, share it with your friends, comment, all that stuff. If you have subjects that you want me to talk about, I will gladly cover them. And so subscribe, comment, all that stuff. And I'll have another video out probably in a week or two. Okay.